Hello everybody, in this lesson I will discuss rules to describe patterns. When I give you the sequence 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, then you can represent that sequence in a table, and your table will look something like this. Here on top in the first row, this is the term number. So the 1 means the first term, the second term, the third term. And then Tn, this is your actual sequence, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Then there's something that we call the general formula. And the general formula is a formula that will help you to find the value of any term in your sequence. Now, let's decide how this works. Now, if you look at n is equal to 1, that means the first term. So when we take the formula Tn is equal to 2n, the general formula for this sequence, in n's place, we can substitute 1. And then we find T1, this means the first term is 2 times 1, and then T1 is equal to 2 means the first term's value is 2. And indeed, that is that. The first term's value is 2. Into the general formula, when we substitute n is equal to 2, so Tn is equal to 2n, the general formula for this sequence, in n's place, when you substitute 2, you find T2 is equal to 4. So that means the second term's value is 4, and it is. Let's test the general formula for the third term. So when I substitute n is equal to 3 into the general formula for the sequence 2 times 3, I get T3 is equal to 6, and this means the value of the third term is equal to 6 indeed. So in the end, the general formula will help you to find the value of any term in your sequence. Find a rule for the numeric pattern 9, 14, 19, 24. And then I gave you the sequence inside a table. The first term's value is 9. Term 2, the value is 14. Term 3, the value is 19. And term 4's value is 24. Remember, n on top there, that is the position in the sequence. The first term, the second term, the third term. Now, the first thing we do to find, when we're going to find the rule, is we work out the constant difference. Remember, the constant difference is to get from 9 to 14, the next term in your sequence, you added 5. To get from 14 to 19, you added 5. To get from 19 to 24, you added 5. Remember, that number is called the constant difference. Now you're going to make a little formula for yourself, and you start by writing down T1 is equal to, and then you write down the constant difference times the term number plus something is equal to 9. The value of the first term is 9. Now, do you agree? Term 1 is then 5, the constant difference, times n plus 4 is equal to 9, because 5 times 1 is 5 plus 4 is 9. Now look at this pattern that's forming. Term 2, again, constant difference times n plus 4 is 14. Now we are working out the value of the second term. So it's 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4 is 14. Term 3, the constant difference times n plus 4. The constant difference is 5. N is 3. It's the third term. So 5 times 3 is 15 plus 4 is 19. And then the fourth term, T4, is constant difference times n plus 4 is 24. Let's check if it's right. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 4 is 24. Therefore, the rule is to multiply the term number 5 by 5 and add 4. And can you see the general formula will be Tn is equal to 5n plus 4. Constant difference times n plus 4 for this sequence. And then this formula for the general term, you can also refer to it as, we call it the nth term. And in the end, we can use that formula to find the value of any term in your sequence. Find a rule for the numeric pattern 4, 7, 10, 13. Again, there's your table. And the table means the first term's value is 4. The second term's value is 7. The third term's value is 10, etc. And then the first thing you do is you work out the constant difference. The constant difference means to get from 4 to 7, you add 3. To get from 7 to 10, you add 3. To get from 10 to 13, you add 3. Then you start with this rule. You say term 1 is equal to the constant difference times n plus something is equal to 4. And 4 is the value of the first term. And then it's very clear that you can say term 1 is the constant difference times n plus 1 is equal to 4. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. Term 2, constant difference times n, the term number, plus 1 is 7. Let's check if it's right. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Term 3, constant difference times n plus 1 is 10. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. Term 4, constant difference times n plus 1 is 13. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 1 is 13. So can you see, now you can give the rule, and the rule is Tn is equal to 3n plus 1, the constant difference times n plus 1. And that formula is the formula that you can use to find the value for any term in your sequence. It's called the general formula or the formula for the nth term. Find a rule for the numeric pattern 4, 11, 18, 25. The first thing you need to do is you need to find the constant difference. That means to get from 4 to 11, you add 7. To get from 11 to 18, you add 7. To get from 18 to 25, you add 7. Then you start with this very important formula. You say T1 is constant difference times n plus something is equal to 4. Now 7 plus something is equal to 4 won't work because it won't be a plus something. Do you agree? It is 7 minus 3 is equal to 4. So you don't have to necessarily add something, you can also subtract something. Let's see. Term 1 is, there's the 7, constant difference times n minus 3 is 4. Term 2, constant difference times n minus 3 is 11. 7 times 2 is 14 minus 3 is 11. Term 3, constant difference times n minus 3 is 18. Let's check if we're right. 7 times 3 is 21, minus 3 is 18. Term 4. Constant difference times n minus 3 is 25. 7 times 4 is 28, minus 3 is 25. Therefore, the formula for the nth term, or the general formula, we can say is, for this sequence, is Tn is equal to 7n minus 3. 7 constant difference, n minus 3. And remember, this is the formula that you can use to find the value of any term in your sequence. Find a rule for the numeric pattern 2, -1, -4, -7. So now the first thing you have to do is you have to find the constant difference. And for this sequence, the constant difference is -3. To get from 2 to -1, you subtract 3. To get from -1 to -4, subtract 3. To get from -4 to -7, subtract 3. So the constant difference is -3. Then you start with this one. Term 1 is equal to constant difference times n plus something must give you 2. And therefore it's going to be term 1 is -3 times 1 plus 5 is equal to 2. Look at this. Constant difference times n plus 5, because -3 times 1 is -3 plus 5 is 2, and 2 is the value that you are looking for. Term 2, same pattern. Constant difference times n plus 5 must give you -1. Let's check if we're right. -3 times 2 is -6, plus 5 is -1. Term 3, constant difference times n plus 5 is -4. -3 times 3 is -9, plus 5 is -4. Term 4, constant difference times n plus 5 is -7. Yes, therefore, the formula for the general term will be Tn equals -3n plus 5. Can you see? Constant difference times n plus 5. Now I want to show you that you can use this formula, the general formula, to find the value of any term in your sequence. This is the sequence from the previous slide. The pattern was 2, -1, -4, -7. And the constant difference was -3. So that means you added -3 to get to the next term. -3 to get to the next term. -3 to get to the next term. So now I can ask you, give the value of the 50th term in this sequence. Now, do you agree you can't sit there in the exam and add -3, -3, add -3, add -3 until you get to the 50th term? And this is why you can work out the general formula, in this case, which is Tn is equal to -3n plus 5, and then in n's place you substitute 50, and then the value of the 50th term will be minus 145. In the next video, I will discuss patterns in diagram form. Click on the video in the left-hand corner to take you straight to the next video.